Who the told Donald Trump about the Alien Enemies Act of 1798?
A few moments later.
This is breaking. This is huge. The Supreme Court sides with the Trump administration on the Alien Enemies Act. The decision is a landmark victory, folks, for the rule of law. An activist judge in Washington, D.C. does not have the jurisdiction to seize control of President Trump's authority to conduct foreign policy and keep the American people safe. The Department of Justice will continue fighting in court to make America safe again. Folks, civil lawfare is what's happening in America right now, and it's being waged behind the scenes. This is a huge, huge victory. It's always going to keep going back to the Supreme Court, where I think Trump has a hold, where he's brought the reins in, he's pulled the reins in to where we'll keep winning in the Supreme Court. This is a massive win for the Trump administration. I expect still more judges to keep defying Trump, but as long as he keeps going back to the Supreme Court, ultimately it will, he keeps winning. This is huge, and it's absolutely a landmark victory. So keep winning, baby.
Yeah, this is a big victory for Trump in the new lawfare. So the old lawfare was try to destroy Donald Trump, 91 indictments, 2 impeachments, civil suits to destroy him, and all the rest of it. That all failed. He won the election and came back stronger than ever. And so the new lawfare is to try and stop him from implementing his agenda through a miasma of court cases.
Judges, district judges across America, as you know, have been hitting the Trump administration. So far, 17 injunctions. Those are all tied to some of the 174 lawsuits filed against the president's agenda. Now, reminder, President Trump has only been in office just over 2 months, exactly 77 days. Here's Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Over 170 lawsuits.
What?
Filed against us. That should be the constitutional crisis right there. 50 injunctions. They're popping up every single day, trying to control his executive power. It's basically a game of whack-a-mole with these district court judges around the country who have a tremendous amount of power. They believe they do, but that's why we're appealing all of these cases, of course, up to the Supreme Court.
Democrats today are angry at the voters for re-electing Donald Trump and electing a Republican Senate and a Republican House, and they engaged in lawfare to stop democracy from operating.
Yeah, I think to step back, what's the real problem here? Really, for the first 200 years of our country, we really didn't see any of this kind of stuff. This is a crisis of the 21st century, and specifically with liberal activist judges. In the first less than 100 days of President Trump's administration here, you've seen more injunctions than the 12 years between Obama's two terms and Joe Biden. So these judges are more than willing to play an outsized role beyond their Article III authority. So there's a few things that are happening. One is some legislation to say one single judge can't do this. Maybe you need a panel. That Senate Judiciary hearing that you heard, that you clipped up from last week, was Senator Grassley's legislation, which would say those district court judges really only have jurisdiction for the parties that are in front of them. I think broadly speaking, though, as these cases make their way up to the Supreme Court, President Trump is going to be successful because he's either operating as commander-in-chief with his Article II powers as the executive, or controlling the programming and personnel of the Article II branch. Unlike Joe Biden, who was trying to steamroll the Constitution by saying OSHA could force 100 million people to get a vaccine well beyond his authority.